So I hope that's where things are going, is that defense is stronger. That's an important question. We'll see.
What was the offensive capability advancement that the defense is now trying to push back against? What happened over the last 4 decades or so? What was it that were the innovations there that we're now trying to push back against?
The age of traditional warfare is over. Joe Lonsdale just explained why. Check this video out. You'll never look at military power the same way again.
It's I mean, there's all this like smart bombs, I think, were like the big thing for the Desert Storm that we hadn't had before, where you were able to basically target everything and take it out really precisely and just completely like surprise and wipe out, Saddam Hussein's army in a way that it was like a whole generation ahead because of how you could target and how you could do things from the air. I think the new thing today that we're seeing in Ukraine, of course, is that it's like you can all of a sudden have like 20,000 or 100,000 things at once in a semi-coordinated way actually move and attack and swarm. And it's just really, really, really hard to beat. And so you are seeing things just change entirely.
So the EMP solution is a way to stop using $1 million bombs to take down $500 drones.
We have this video for Epirus where there's like these 1,000 drones coming at you, and then these like old-fashioned people are trying to fire the missiles at them, and you can take out a few, and like, what are you gonna do? Like it's crazy. Even people who only have like 5 drones attacking our ships, we're spending these super expensive missiles. Exactly, $1 million to shoot down something that's worth hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. And yeah, so if you can it turns out that you want to have all the power hit the gallium nitride, the emitter, at about the same time. So you have these AI chips that can control power on very small time scales, and you get all the power, hit the gallium nitride at once, which means
Hit the what?
better. Gallium nitride is an emissive material. It's the most efficient emissive material
Okay.
for like sitting out like a 10,000th of a second burst of microwave radiation.
Uh-huh.
And if you do it with enough power, the microwave radiation is so strong that it can like even turn things off, miles away, depending how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you're effectively frying the circuits of these things coming in. It's like a Star Trek shield, and you turn them off.
Uh-huh.
EMP solutions driven by AI and advanced materials? That's where Palantir and next-gen defense startups shine. This is the new battlefield. High-volume, low-cost drone swarms versus traditional billion-dollar defense systems. It's no longer about precision alone. It's about scale, speed, and adaptability. If we don't evolve our defensive tech fast enough, we're writing blank checks for outdated strategy.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I've had a bunch of conversations. Eric Prince was on, and he was explaining to me about sort of what's happening in Ukraine at the moment. And it's so funny how we've got a sort of evolutionary mimesis happening in warfare where you have tanks. The tanks have some vulnerabilities and weaknesses. The drones are created so that they can be flown into the particular weaknesses on the tanks. The tanks' weaknesses get patched up. The drones get a little bit bigger, a little bit more sophisticated. They can fly further. The tanks put netting up. The drones have like sharp things on them that can cut through netting. And you,
I'm not bullish. I'm not bullish tanks 5 years from now because there's just too many things coming at them. And we can try to put Epirus on the tanks. We could defend some of them. We have a company called Overland AI, and they've won all these DARPA challenges. We're the best in the country at just driving over complex terrain. And so everyone's using them for that. But
a vehicle of some kind.
Any vehicle driving over terrain is what we're realizing. It's just similar to how Saronic here in Austin's building thousands of smaller vessels for the Navy. And we're going to start building larger ones too, and having them swarm for the Navy that are, armed and autonomous. We want to build thousands of overland vehicles. And it's really interesting doing these things because when you spec out the vehicle, the traditional defense solution is like, it needs to have these 37 capabilities, it needs to have this armor, it needs to do this, it needs to do that. And you're like, wait a second, you could give it all 37 of those capabilities, or you could build 1,000 of them for the same cost with like 10 capabilities, right? And so it becomes this like fascinating problem where this is a really important point in warfare. Like warfare has this engineering aspect to it. Like if you want to build a bridge and you want the bridge to never fall down, if you give me $1 billion, I could build you a bridge that will never fall down. It might be ugly, but it'll be like so much metal, so many supports, it'll never fall down. But the point of engineering is not to build $1 billion. It's how do you build it for $50 million, never fall down just as much, right? And it's a similar thing in warfare. You always have scarcity. So it's not about what are all the really cool specs on your jet or on your tank or whatever. It's okay, if you're going to spend a certain amount of resources, I'm going to spend a certain amount of resources, and we're going to fight. Let's do something that just overwhelms. Even if the tank is better in all these ways, I have 1,000 times as many vehicles. I'm just going to swarm you and crush you and keep going, right? So there's things like this now where it's all, and this is why advanced manufacturing, going back to the tariffs, is so important to be good at. Because if we're not good at that here, and the other guys are good at it, that's scary.
This flips the whole military-industrial mindset on its head. It's not about one perfect machine. It's about 1,000 good enough systems coordinated through smart software. This is where Palantir thrives, turning logistical chaos into scalable strategy. Scarcity isn't a limitation, it's the design constraint that forces innovation.
What is the likelihood that in 5 or 10 years there's that many troops on the ground as well? Are human personnel going to be that important?
I think people are still very important in a lot of different things. I think the way warfare is morphing is it goes towards a special forces model. So I think Elon Musk has been really clear. Like, obviously, you don't want like tons of troops like running forward, and then there's like tons of drones coming. That's a terrible. I don't want to be that guy on the front line. This is like the really sad thing in World War I, where like the British aristocrats have been treated like crap for 30 years, and if the aristocracy, your role was a warrior who defends society. That was like kind of how you were taught, and so they were so excited when World War I came that they'd get to like finally fight and show their honor and defend their side and be proud. And they all jumped on their horses and they all charged and they were all mowed down by machine guns. Like the whole generation was killed. It was terrible, right? So no, you don't. And so even like 100 years ago, you didn't want people charging that way. Now it's insane. But what you do have is you have a special forces model where there's like, you probably have everyone have like multiple robots around them and they're controlling them in different ways and complementing them. You probably have them calling in airstrikes, calling in drone strikes, like figuring out what's going on, using the tools. But you are going to want people on the battlefield or near the battlefield. They're just going to be like using a lot of stuff around them, but you're probably still going to want them there for quite a long time, is my view.
This is the human AI hybrid model of warfare. Soldiers as augmented nodes in a network, not just boots on the ground. You're not eliminating people. You're upgrading them with tools, sensors, and autonomous support. Palantir isn't just building software. They're rewriting what it means to fight.
What were you saying about rods from space? What are rods from
Yeah,
space?
this is one of those things that's always like not clear how much one should talk about. I don't have clearance these days, which is good because I can not get myself in trouble. But it's just pretty obvious that, a fighter jet is a missile delivery system. And if you could have the missiles be in space and be extraordinarily accurate what they're going to hit in, for any kind of ground target or even other things, and then it's like that's probably a better way of doing it, right? It's just much cheaper. It's much cheaper now thanks to Starship, right? It would be very, very cheap to get. I mean, right now I think it costs as much as an aircraft carrier to get 100,000 of these in space. That could, I don't know what the ratio is, could go to 1 million of these in space for the cost of a carrier. At some point, it's just like obvious how you want to be spending the money.
It's so interesting to think about most military vehicles as being just missile carriers. Like it's just
in many cases
some degree of intermediary, whether it's the thing that carries the missiles takes off from, whether it's the thing that carries the missiles, whether it's the missile
it's
itself.
a huge part of it. I mean, when we do these Saronic ships with the Navy, and there's Saronic is a company that just raised $600 million at a $4 billion valuation that we helped some of the amazing talented guys start. Dino Mavroukas is a Navy SEAL who started it here in Austin, and so it's an Austin-based company, and it's building like hundreds of these weaponized vessels. And I think the current ones are mostly 24-footers, and they could do certain things. And I think if you build like
unmanned.
All unmanned for now, and if you have a 130-footer, mostly unmanned, but maybe you can make people go on if they want, that lets you shoot things that take 80 foot of ship to fire that otherwise you couldn't fire from 24 feet. So yeah, it does become like about carrying weapons and maneuvering and supporting other vessels. Yeah.
This is a fundamental rethink of military logistics. Why spend billions on slow, vulnerable platforms when you can drop kinetic energy from orbit? Rods from space don't need explosives. They hit with the force of a meteor. And guess what makes this viable now? Starship for the hardware, Palantir for the coordination.